remember my dad was quite a pitch player. They played pitch. I guess it's just a form of poker because I don't even hear about it these days. But it seems to me like it's like draw poker or something. And Sundays they'd get together in Uncle Bill's tavern, and Dad would take me with him to babysit me, and I'd run around in there amongst the pool tables and stuff in the bar. Did you ever go in there and see that train? It's still there. They got it at that time, Uncle Bill. And but then they were there sitting there playing pitch one day, and wind was really blowing outside, and across the street was an outhouse. I guess that was the Finches that lived across there. And the damn toilet blew over in the strong wind, and it blew over on its back with the door up. And Dad says, "Sure be funny if somebody was in there." About that time, the door opened and old John Finch came crawling out. Oh, howdy, I don't know how we lived through those days, but it was interesting. But Willis and I, every day after school, from very young, we'd have to walk about 4 or 5 miles back up in the pasture there on the mesa where the cows grazed and bring them in. Mom and Dad both milked. Mom was a great milker. She always had the straightest back, and she'd lean over and they put their head in the flank, so they would kick them. And she'd get it in both hands. And then Dad, sometimes he's petting the old cats. Cats were important to keep the mice down. And he'd just take and squirt them like that. Little cats would just open their mouth and they got squirt of milk right in their mouth. So I don't know, but those are good days. We used to have once a year before irrigation season, we'd clean that ditch, and it went almost up to that natural bridge on the river where we put a little brush and rock diversion dam across the San Francisco River, diverted into this ditch, but you had to clean it out. It like a shovel full deep, and so everybody on the ditch is supposed to help, and they wouldn't all. Some of them would pay somebody to come do it for them, and this was a great time. Willis and I always going along with them. We didn't have to work because we'd get in their way. We were too small to really work, but they take a 12, 15-foot path, and the guy that's in back, when he finishes cleaning his, throwing it up on the lower bank, and he moves in front, starts again, and we went this 5 miles cleaning that the ditch that way. I remember, I shouldn't tell this, but old Curdy's dad, Jim Jones, was I don't know, Willis or I won one day when they were having lunch. It gave a fart. And boy, that made him so mad he couldn't stand that. And boy, they chased us away from the group. They wouldn't even let us come watch anymore and dig it. When I got to be, I don't know, 15, 16 years old, I'd work weekends run the filling station there for Dutch Tinny. Had that filling station just across from Uncle Bill's. And in those days, there's no self-service. We pump gas for everybody. And there's the old pump that stands up here with a big glass globe on it with the gallons marked on the side, and a hand pump to pump it up. So we pump it up to the top and to the zero, and then gas in it comes down, and where they ask 10 gallons, you stop it there. And I'd run that for Dutch Tinny on weekends, and then Enid McCargish was the postmaster, and I got a after school and weekend job with her, and had the title of assistant postmaster. And so we had all these mailboxes. I remember our mailbox was 203. And 2 little dials on it. You dial, open it to get your mail out. And so my job was back there sorting mail, putting those boxes, and then the general delivery and writing money orders and all that kind of stuff, And so I was assistant postmaster, and then when I went into service, one of the early days they were having a parade or something at Fresno, and one of and our commanding officer was coming down a review line, the troops standing there, and he'd put us all at ease. Then he'd walking down inspecting our ties to see if they thought everything was the way it's supposed to be. And he'd stop and talk to certain people. He stopped in front of me and says, "What'd you do in civilian life, soldier?" I said, "I was assistant postmaster at Reserve, New Mexico." He said, "Oh, that's great, assistant postmaster." I said, "It's a very small post office." And he says, "Don't ever apologize, it's a sign of weakness." And that was about the first kind of chewing out I got in the service. When I got out of high school, then Lisbon and Charlie were living in Inglewood, California. Everything was defense plant at that time. I graduated in '41, and the World War II was going pretty good then, you know. Willis was in the service and had his basic training up at Merced, and so I went out there and living with them, and I lived with Mildred and GL some too. But I remember mainly living with Lee and Charlie, and Chris and Charles. I don't think Chris was born. I don't know for sure. I don't remember him. Little baby if he was, but Chris and Deward were, you know, they were fair-sized children. I remember one time we got the scare of our lives because they had a big, can't think of the name of it, Charles. Those beans, castor beans. One of those beans, and it made him so sick, and they were really poisonous. I don't know how they must use them for something to get poison out, but I remember they thought he was going to die. He was so sad. Then one funny thing I remember, I got my draft notice. I was to be drafted into the Army. And so I came home first, and I decided to see if I could get in the Navy. I don't know why, because I don't even swim, don't know what I'd done out on the boat. I got car sick as a kid in high school, and then, but I went to Santa Fe, and I took all the tests and everything to go into the Navy, and they had all of us in a room there at the end, and they says, "Now, if there's anything wrong with you physically or any problems that we haven't found out about and you haven't told us, it could be hell, lay in the infirmary for months in San Diego or something, so you ought to tell us." So I told them how I'd hurt my back playing basketball, and gave me quite a bit of trouble, so don't want you. And so then I went ahead and then I went back to California, and I had a date for my to be drafted, and at San Pedro, California. So I went down to the induction center there to go in, and they took me right in. They took me in limited service. I got a 10% disability. Off of that, I still get a little VA check for my disability that I still had the problems when I was discharged and everything, so they gave me a 10% disability. This one time, we went to a movie, Lee and Charlie and Charles and Deward. I sure don't remember about Chris. And it was Shirley Temple was in the movie. And we sitting there, and here came a picture. Shirley Temple came in, and Deward said real loud, "There's old Shirley Temple." And everybody just roared. Deward, the kid said, "There's old Shirley Temple." So that whole area where they lived in there now was taken over by, I think, that Inglewood Airport. I think it's all airport land in there now. Inglewood, California changed greatly. That's where the defense plant was. I worked at a couple of different defense plants. I remember working in the defense plant. I was a crew chief over a bunch of these older women that were working manufacturing airplane parts, machine milled parts, and we'd go to the tool crib for parts, and to zero a drill press over the spot you wanted, you had a little thing, they called it a wiggler, what they call that. I don't know, a wiggler, I guess. It was kind of on a ball or something. You put your finger in the set of it, you could see if it was centered. You put your finger on it and push it just a little bit till it straightened up, and which one, and then you let it down to find the spot to drill your hole. And these women, they didn't like to go to the crib and ask for a wiggler. That's in those days, Jeff, they wouldn't say pregnant. My parents would never say pregnant. That was a no-no to talk like that. And but the main thing is these women, they wouldn't go and ask for a bastard file, a flat bastard file. That's how this world has changed.
What do you remember of your military career?
Well, I drafted, went in there at San Pedro, and was sent to, I got some of that written down somewhere, but sent to Basic Training Center number 8 at Fresno, California. We had our basic training for about 6 months. I was having a lot of trouble with my back. It was strenuous training. But then we'd taken tests to see what we were adapted to, jobs that we should handle when we got through basic training. And I understood that they were sending me to parachute rigger school. So got on a troop train, and we were on that damn troop train 5 days and 6 nights, 3 bunks high. Let's see, I think they were crossed like this, and man, did they rock. I couldn't sleep. I got the top bunk some way, climb up there with that rock, and you'd think it would kind of rock you to sleep, but I had trouble going to sleep. And we didn't have any way to bathe or hardly clean up, and we were the grimiest things. So we headed east. This was, I guess it was June 21st, 1940. Let's see, I got out, I went in 43. I went in on, you say, on Lincoln's birthday, they drafted me. And then I was discharged on Washington's birthday, 3 years and 11 months in the service. And I used to sing some kind of a song on Lincoln birthday. They drafted me, why don't you do right? That was some kind of a song then, I don't know. But anyway, we were in, I think it was somewhere in Kansas, where I used to remember, where there was a train stop, and it was my birthday. And it stopped there and let us get a little exercise and stretch, and there was a bakery close by, and I bought a big cake and shared it with all the guys on the cattle car for my birthday cake that day. And so I thought we were going to New York or somewhere to parachute rigger school, and we got across the Mississippi and we headed south. And we went to Keesler Field, Mississippi, where at Biloxi, that's Biloxi, Mississippi, where I went to aircraft mechanic school instead. And so I graduated from there, aircraft mechanic school. I was there until about 6 months there. And then, because I remember, it seemed like June the 20th, that they had the first snowstorm they'd had in 20 years in Biloxi, Mississippi. And so then we went from there to Santa Ana Air Force Base in California. And that was for deployment somewhere. see, I guess that's where, I guess then they sent me to be a airplane mechanic here at the Kirtland field. I got